In this video, we will explore the moments when celebrities directly confronted uncomfortable questions from reporters pursuing woke culture, leaving them speechless. These encounters not only showcase the sharpness and bravery of these stars, but also illuminate the ongoing debate about the limits of political correctness and freedom of speech in the entertainment industry. We begin with Morgan Freeman, one of the prominent figures leading the charge against woke culture. When interviewed and asked to share his thoughts on Black History Month, Freeman did not hesitate to criticize the idea of confining Black history to just 1 month. He emphasized that this history is not limited to a single month, but is an integral part of American history. His viewpoint urges people to stop racial discrimination and instead see individuals for their essence and actions.
Black History Month you find
ridiculous.
why?
You're going to relegate my history to a month?
Oh, come on.
What do you do with yours? Which month is White History Month? No, come on, tell me.
Well, I'm Jewish.
Okay, which month is Jewish History Month?
There isn't one.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Do you want one?
No.
No, I don't either. I don't want a Black History Month. Black history is American history.
How are we going to get rid of racism until...
Stop talking about it.
Freeman argues that an overemphasis on group identity leads to the very discrimination that society is striving to eliminate. Instead, he calls for people to perceive each other beyond racial labels, moving toward a culture of mutual respect and understanding. This perspective challenges the foundations of woke culture, encouraging a shift in focus toward individuality and our shared humanity. Next on the list of celebrities dismantling woke culture is veteran director Quentin Tarantino. On The Bill Maher Show, Tarantino made a strong impression by boldly confronting wokeism. The seasoned director not only defended himself, but also expanded the discussion about the negative impact of woke culture on Hollywood.
Ideology is more important than art.
Way more, certainly to the awards.
Yeah. And it's just, it's like, ideology trumps art. Ideology trumps individual effort. Ideology trumps good. Ideology trumps entertaining. Okay, just looking at the 40s, all right, that was during the wartime, but that's also the time that you had film noir, where you actually, even though with the Hays Code, you had these dark, dark stories that were being told. But then after the war was won, then you had the 50s, which was the first of the completely homogenized decades, where you couldn't say shit if you had a mouthful, all right? And every bestseller, every play that was turned into a movie, if there was anything sexual about it or anything, that's all going to be drained out of the movie. It's going to be weaned out of the movie. It's just the way.
Tarantino stressed that in the current climate, artistic values are increasingly overshadowed by political and social criteria, leading to a failure to properly evaluate many cinematic works. He pointed out that art should not merely reflect social reality, but also has the power to drive change. Tarantino drew a comparison between the 1940s, when film noir thrived with its dark stories, and the 1950s, when conformity led to the censorship of many sensitive elements in films. He argued that this restraint has impoverished creativity and depth in art. Furthermore, Tarantino warned that woke culture is not just a passing trend, but a genuine barrier to creative freedom. He advocates for a more open-minded approach to art, emphasizing that rigid ethical standards can stifle an artist's creative potential. His message resonates with artists and offers hope for a future where art can soar freely, reminiscent of the old days, unencumbered by prejudice or social pressure. Another notable moment features actor Denzel Washington facing a journalist's question about whom he voted for in the election. Instead of becoming angry like many adherents of woke culture, Denzel exhibited humility and respect for his privacy by declining to disclose this information. He emphasized that voting is a personal matter and not something that interviewers or the public need to know.
Mr. Washington, you're here in D.C. during an interesting time with the transition in the White House. Just wondering who you wound up supporting in the election and why.
Go ahead now. Fences.
How about this? I don't know if you saw it. There's a fake news story going around. It got thousands of shares online. You saw that. And I just thought you might want to clear it up because people are confused.
There's a few words that start with F and end with K, but that one ends with E. but it starts with F.
Yeah, but just too vague. You got to be specific right now. F, K, and E.
What was the question?
Well, that was a question. Who
What was the
who you wound up supporting in the election, presidential election?
None of your business.
None of my business. Let me ask you this: what issue do you hope President-elect Trump tackles? What's number one in your mind with the new administration?
I don't know. You know, I'd have to be more informed to just say off the top of my head the number one issue. I'm not sure. Education, jobs, health.
When asked about necessary reforms to improve racial relations in the US, Denzel offered profound advice. He argued that changes in racial relations cannot solely rely on laws, but require participation and dialogue from each individual. He asserted that while woke culture raises awareness about issues like equality and justice, real change only occurs when people are willing to listen and learn from each other.
Right now, under President Obama, over the last 8 years, in your mind, have race relations improved under his leadership?
Race relationships have to do with race relationships. You're white or whatever you are, I'm black or whatever I am. We're standing here talking now. That's how we get things done. You can't legislate love. The President of the United States can't legislate us into liking each other. We have to step forward and ask questions about each other and engage. There's no law that says, oh, because I'm president, you all got to get along now.
Additionally, Denzel highlighted the importance of freedom of expression in a diverse society. He respects everyone's right to engage in movements like Black Lives Matter, regardless of agreement. This viewpoint not only criticizes the imposition of ideology, but also emphasizes that mutual understanding and respect are key to building better relationships among communities.
About your people from Mount Vernon saying that, they've done 40 years in the penitentiary together. So, and, incarceration rates in America has been a problem, especially as opposed to minorities. And Roman delves into the issues around the legal system. Do you think we've made any in the
I
legal
think it's more important to make headway in our own house. By the time the system comes into play, the damage is done. They're not locking up 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
I was in Chicago a couple of 3-4 weeks ago, and we saw these little kids on bikes with masks on the side of their head, like 5 or 6 of them. And the driver said, yeah, they're little yummies. I said, who? He said, little yummies. Look up, Google Lil Yummy. Lil Yummy was an 11-year-old murderer.
Wow.
And you look at his picture, you'll see the headshot of him, and he's like this. And he got murdered at 11 by a 14-year-old.
Wow.
Who's doing life now, and a 16-year-old.
That makes no sense.
You blame the system? Where was his father? It starts in the house.
In another interview, Denzel Washington again confronted woke culture, this time choosing to focus on serious issues related to incarceration rates in the US, especially for minority groups. He pointed out that many children live in violent environments and lack protection, leading to tragedies such as child deaths, citing the well-known story of Lil Yummy as a specific example. Washington emphasized that the roots of this situation stem from families and communities, not just the legal system. He called for change starting from within the home, where families play a crucial role in shaping children's futures. This reflects part of the woke culture, where social responsibility and family involvement are highlighted as essential factors in addressing complex social issues. Washington encourages everyone to view these problems more deeply and responsibly, contributing to positive change in society. Next is another memorable moment from Denzel Washington, where he addresses misinformation and candidly points out the long-term effects of information overload while criticizing reporters within woke culture.
Long-term effect of too much information, the polarization of the electorate, a meaner-spiritedness.
False information as well, because the whole fake news thing.
Pick one. It's not just one. That's the flavor of the day. Every day is something else. People have to understand. Are you using your device, or is your device using you? Can you put it down? Can you turn it off?
You're talking about literally the places people get their information from.
I don't care what information. Pick one. Phone, television. It used to be news. Now it's opinion news. Oh, glasses. We have 3 experts on the right, 3 on the left. Let's discuss. Ooh, light bulbs. We have 3 experts on the right. That's not news. That's opinion news. Well, over and over and over. Cycle. What is the long-term effect of too much information? If you're sitting there and you're thinking it's the gospel, what I'm saying to people is, to all of us, I'm not knocking the phone. What I'm saying is we have to understand, we have to at least ask ourselves around the world, you here in England, wherever you are, what is it doing to us?
In this interview, Washington condemned the media's lack of attention to providing accurate information, stating that instead of focusing on delivering the best information, many reporters today prioritize speed, regardless of whether this may harm others. He emphasized that the rise of fake news and misinformation not only increases misunderstanding and confusion in society, but also leads people to become passive recipients of information. Washington encourages everyone to take an active role in seeking out and verifying information, rather than simply relying on what the media presents. In his view, instead of being confined to the information that woke culture wants individuals to absorb, people should consciously engage in the search for truth, thereby contributing to building a better society. His perspective not only criticizes the negative impacts of misinformation, but also advocates for positive change initiated by each individual, stressing that raising awareness and personal responsibility could be the key to overcoming the challenges society faces. We can easily see that woke culture in Hollywood has restricted the freedom of speech of celebrities, stifling them by suppressing their careers and personal lives. Nevertheless, some stars defy all barriers to set new precedents, directly confronting this culture. They remind us that the future of society hinges on the ability to preserve free speech while respecting diversity and differing viewpoints within the community. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue following us in upcoming videos. Have a great day.